Hi, I'm Avi Federgreen. You're watching 10 Questions. I'm very proud of every single film that I've made. And I look at my, my body of work, films like 1 Week, Still Mine, and now most recently Kiss and Cry, I think are films that will stand the test of time. And I tell people that, the two things that I'm most proud of and that are the most important things to me as far as my legacy are my children and the films that I make. And so when I look at the body of work, I'm proud of the films that I've made, and my legacy and the history of me and will extend long beyond my life, and that'll be my film career. What's great about documentaries, they're obviously based on true story subject matter. They are films that engage an audience in different ways, mostly emotional. The audience becomes almost like an active participant in the movies. They become emotionally driven, energized, affected by those movies, more so than narrative, because they're talking about true people, true events, things like that. And I feel like those are the kinds of stories that we should be telling more so, not just in doc, but narrative, is that, and the most successful films that I've made have been based on a true story films. They will always stand the test of time because they're subject matter that people relate to and are relevant not only today, but also down the road.
What would you do if you knew you only had 1 day, or 1 week, or 1 month to live? What lifeboat would you grab onto? What wish would you fulfill? What's the minimum in life?
The subject matter of the project will decide whether you get in the door or not. Most broadcasters are open to be pitched. Some prefer being pitched at certain markets. Some obviously might be able to be pitched in person. Most of them will want to see the content first on paper to see if they're interested in even having a conversation about it. I think part of the research that a producer needs to do is to determine what kinds of shows each broadcaster is playing. There's no point of pitching a documentary to a channel that doesn't play documentaries. There's no point in pitching a broadcaster a narrative movie if they don't play narrative. If they do play documentaries, is the documentary that you're pitching the kind of documentaries that they program on their channel? Have you researched the kinds of programming that they program, and to determine if your film fits in the mandate of what the broadcaster is looking for? There's nothing that irritates a broadcaster more than you pitching them a film or a series or whatever that is not the kind of stuff that they program. If you think that if you're in this business to make money, go find another job, because the only reason to be in this business is that you're passionate about the industry and that this is something that, it's a fire burning in your belly that you want to do. If I was in this business for the money, I would have gotten out a long time ago. That's not why I'm in this business. And it's earning a very meager salary if you're a producer. And it's just as hard to be a director or an actor in this business, because there's only so many opportunities. There's only so much money out there to grab onto. You have to be passionate. You have to, for me, my mantra is no is not an option. Like for me, I go out and if somebody tells me no and it's something that I believe in, I'm going to do it anyways, because how dare you tell me no? Most of the films that I do now are people telling me, like, nobody cares about the film, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't even listen to that nonsense, because it is nonsense. I collaborate with great people like Sean Cisterna from Kiss and Cry, like Gaurav Seth from Prison Rex, and many others, because they are like-minded people who are passionate filmmakers that want to make good films. And I'm all for that. I'm also all for working with emerging filmmakers, people that, deserve an opportunity to make a film, but most producers in this country are not looking to work with first-time feature filmmakers. They're looking to work with more seasoned filmmakers. And the fact of the matter is that if we don't help these emerging filmmakers, we will not have a future in our industry. So, people need to start stepping up and, starting to engage and work and collaborate with these first-time feature filmmakers, because they are going to be the future of our industry long after we're dead. Funny enough, most of the people that were kind and considerate and shared of themselves to me were women. Women producers who were strong, who were talented, who were passionate, who were intelligent, who fought for everything that they ever got in a time when women were not recognized as much as being successful producers in this country. But they were the ones that opened their doors to show me all the things that I know today. And without them, I wouldn't be here today. I've opened my door for 5 years now or more to first-time feature filmmakers who want the opportunity to collaborate and make good films. And part of the initiatives that I've done, things like IndieCan 10K and now the more recent IndieCan 20K, those are first feature initiatives that I'm working with amazing sponsors and suppliers and post-production facilities and mentors who believe the same things that I do, which is we need to help our emerging filmmaking community.
Time-traveling terrorist. That doesn't sound scary at all.
Paranoia. It's the greatest weapon there is.
Well, the first thing is it a good idea? What I like to say is a good idea can lead you to a good script. A good script and a good idea can lead you to a good director. Those 3 things can lead you to good cast. Those 4 things can lead you to money. And those 5 things can lead you to an audience. So it starts with an idea. The script could be horrible, but if the idea is great, I can fix that. But I can't fix a bad idea. And then the second thing is how much money you need to make the movie. It's extremely hard to finance movies in Canada now. And for me, it's finding projects that can be financed appropriately in Canada. The first feature, I guess I wouldn't say it's the first feature from stuff that I developed. It was a movie called Hungry Hills, which was made in 2009. The director is Rob King, very talented director from Saskatchewan who now lives in Toronto. Written by Gary Fisher, who's originally from Saskatchewan, lives in BC now. Co-produced with Rhonda Baker from Saskatchewan, now lives in Manitoba. And we made this movie in 2009. The budget was $1 million on paper, but in fact, the cash budget was less than that. Gary had originally optioned the book Hungry Hills written by an Albertan named George Riga quite a long time prior to us making the movie. And from the time that Gary optioned the book to the time we shot the movie, was 16 years in development. I came and I got involved probably in the last 2 years. It's a great story that had to be told. It was beautifully shot by a guy named Ken Krawchuk, who was originally from Saskatchewan, starring Keira Gilchrist and a host of other amazing talented actors, including Gabrielle Rose and John Piper Ferguson. Great film. And I'm super proud of it. It was a hard shoot. I mean, it wasn't a lot of money that we had. It was shooting in mostly outside, which can always be challenging. Rob, the director, is absolutely fantastic, and I look forward to working with him again. And we've been trying to find something to do together as well. But when you have a good crew, you know how to make a dollar stretch out quite far. You can be successful. I mean, the movie got into TIFF and a few other festivals, and the people that watched it really loved it, and we're really proud of it. For me, I think the best publicity you could ever get on your movie is for people to go out after they've watched it and they talk about it for 2 to 3 hours about what they liked about it. They go tell friends and things like that. Like, to me, that's the best publicity you'll ever get. And that when we had a good reaction to the film, and I think that's important.
When times are tough, everyone gets pushed out of shape. But bad times don't make people mean. The bad ones start out mean.
I'm always on the lookout for great talent. You can look at their early work, like, you can tell by looking at their short films. If you look at David Fincher's early work, he was doing commercials and short films and music videos, and that's what got him to be one of the biggest directors there is now. It started with the smaller work, and he just developed his craft. And many filmmakers in the early days, Jim Jarmusch, and you could go on and on and on, as their filmmaking career continues, their films get better and better and better. Same can be said in this country. I mean, we have a lot of super talented directors, seasoned ones and up and coming ones. And, it's a pleasure to work with people that care, and that they're passionate, and they'll do whatever it takes to make a really good movie. Those are the people that I want to work with and have worked with. Most people make the mistake of not having enough pre-production. I mean, when I have a movie greenlit, generally I'll be in pre-production for 2 to 3 months before I even open an office and start bringing people in to start working on the movie. Your director needs to be completely on board, has already, started thinking in real terms about what this movie is going to be. That, you don't start casting 3 weeks before you go to camera. I mean, and then the lead of the movie officially gets signed 3 days before you go to camera, and then you're racing to get them here in time. They haven't even figured out who their character is. I would tell people, like, spend boatloads of time in pre-production. Now, that just means you, the producers, the director, if you can get your DP, cinematographer on board, start going to see potential locations, having the DP, having as many conversations with the director as possible, so they can both be one another's headspace. So when they go to the floor for the first day, they kind of are symbiotic with what's going to go on. Pre-production is so important. And you think that your script is ultimately ready. It's never finished. You're editing, you're massaging that script right up to the last scene shot of your movie. No word should be untouched. Like, I've seen many writers hold every single dotted I to heart and every crossed T, and you have to be open to evolving your project, because it is going to evolve. The actors are going to, you're going to be on set, you're going to rehearse a scene, and there's going to be something wrong with it. It doesn't make sense, or a line doesn't fit right, or whatever. The script is going to continually evolve as you're continually talking about it and working it. A documentary, for example, most people, they go out and shoot a documentary. The final documentary that winds up on the screen is never really, not in most cases, not the documentary they went out to shoot. That it ends up changing once you discover all kinds of things that you never imagined that you were going to discover. Have your mind open to all kinds of possibilities.
When did we become a country of bureaucrats?
It's been obvious for a while now that Mama's getting worse.
You think I'm not aware of that? That's why I'm building the house.
What if I forget everything?
You'll still be my Irene.
Promise.
Never broken a promise to you yet.
Part of you putting together a movie is knowing exactly what the budget of the film is going to be, and you have to figure out where you're going to get all that money to cover all the line items in the budget. Like, that's just automatic. And if you don't have that figured out, then you're not going to make that movie until you have figured it out. Because you've got an obligation to pay your crew, pay your cast, pay the locations, hire the caterers, all that stuff. That costs money. Where's that money coming from? Well, you can't get government funding unless you have a locked budget. You can't get OMDC. You got to know what your tax credits are going to be. You have to know where all the money's coming from. If the movie's going to cost you $1 million, what's making up that $1 million? How much is coming from telefilm? How much coming in private money? How much coming from the OMDC? How much is coming from tax credits? How much are you deferring? Do you have a pre-sale for television? Like, where's it coming from? You can't go to camera and shoot a movie unless you have money in the bank and that all the money is accounted for. That's number one. You can't hire anybody unless you're fully financed. That's the other key thing. How much of that money is confirmed? would look great on a piece of paper, but unless it's in your bank account, it's useless to you. Well, I mean, again, I think that we've got to concentrate a lot more on indigenous production, like domestic production, um, putting, putting money in Canadian filmmakers' hands to make Canadian content. And we cannot rely on government money for the rest of our days to be that main source of income to make our films. We need to find ways to encourage private investment of films, and that will require some help from the federal government to create tax incentives for independent financiers to get behind our content. We need to support our own first, and then, worry about the rest. But, we have great talented actors, writers, directors, producers, crew people here, and we should be giving them the opportunity to make local content. The people that helped me get where I am, I mean, there, as mentioned earlier, many of them are women. I mean, I've worked with some of the strongest producers in Canada who gave me opportunities when maybe other people wouldn't have. They taught me everything that they knew. People like Marilyn Stonehouse, people like Anna Stratton, people like Jennifer Jonas, guys like Danny Iron, the guys at Aircraft Pictures, Anthony Leo and Andrew Rosen are super supporters of me. There's tons of people that have just been so gracious to me. Telefilm has been really supportive of the projects that I've been doing. Dan Lyon there, Stephanie Azam. OMDC has been super supportive of the projects that I've been doing. John Galway and Alan Backus at the Harold Greenberg Fund have been super supportive. Then there's festival people that have been super supportive. Whistler Film Festival, for example, Shauna and Paul Graton, Brenda Lieberman in Calgary, Guy Lavallée at the Northwest Film Festival in Edmonton, Cinefest. Like, all these people, in one way or the other, have been super supportive of my career, have given me all kinds of opportunities to grow as a filmmaker, have supported my films over the years, and then working with collaborative, people like Mike McGowan on One Week, Score Hockey Musical, and Still Mine, Leonard Farlinger on I'm Yours and All Hat. There's, Gaurav Seth, the list goes on of really, Rob King. There's tons of people that I've collaborated with on the projects that I've done, who are continually, we continually work together and try to find other opportunities to work together. I mean, we have a really strong collaborative, supportive industry here of Indigenous filmmakers right across the country. I mean, I have huge friends in relationships in British Columbia of great people who I support and support me. People in Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. I mean, the list goes on of super talented people, many of them also emerging filmmakers, first-time feature filmmakers or second-time feature filmmakers that, are great people and good friends, and in some cases family. And we're all here to help one another, and we will continue to help one another to continue to build our industry. And I think now we have a government that's supportive of what we're trying to do. Trudeau and his cabinet are super supportive of culture. I think we're going to see a shift in how culture is treated in this country, which I think is amazing. So, we got to keep fighting the fight. We can't let our guard down for 3 seconds. We got to keep going and continue to do whatever we can to build our industry. Come and see Kiss and Cry. It's playing in Canada now. Please support this film. It's very, very important to support this film for the life of Carly Allison. It's a great, great film. I'm super proud of it. And it was a pleasure to work with my filmmaking partner in crime, Sean Cisterna, which this was our 3rd film together. Hopefully more to come. And keep supporting Indie Can Entertainment. We've now released 80 films across the country. both narrative and documentary, and I'm super proud of that. There's going to be a new VOD service that IndieCan's going to be launching this year, dedicated to Jewish films, a Jewish VOD service. So I'm super excited about that. And more to come. And April 19th, mark it on your calendars, National Canadian Film Day, the Canada 150 edition. Go support Canadian film on April 19th because it's important.
My motto is always smile. I don't mean be fake, but always, always find a reason to be happy. And if you can't, smile anyway. Why the heck not?